Nanotechnology is the way of the future.
A way of wirelessly transmitting information into the human body using organic electronic components. You can put the patches on the human body, you can see an effect.
Soccer player David Beckham is arguably the most recognized athlete in the world, and even he's wearing the patches. The world's windsurfing champion clearly wearing the patches on his knees. Sean May wearing the patches when he was the MVP for the NCAA champions. Here's a national champion weightlifter using the patches. Esquire magazine ranked them as Performance Enhancer of the Month. ESPN, the magazine, did an article on the LifeWave phenomenon.
You know, last night we showed you that even Pop wasn't quite sure just what those bandages are on Tim Duncan's chest. But our viewers knew the answer. They're called LifeWave Energy Patches, a revolutionary new medical discovery.
It's so new, so great, so wonderful. How do you measure it? There is an immediate autonomic nervous system response within 5 minutes. And that is powerful scientific information to offer.
I've been doing this kind of testing now for almost 8 years, and I can tell you, you don't see these kind of results in 1 or 2 weeks.
There are a lot of products out there, folks, but there are very few companies who support their products with quality science.
We tested the LifeWave product and we found that it made a significant change within 10 seconds in the cytoskeleton. And let me tell you, that is profound.
So this is not so much a stimulant, as more of a way to balance the body and bring the body back into harmony.
That which seems extraordinary today will be commonplace in the future.
When I got them, I tested them. I took it for what they said on the phone call to me that they would work, and I absolutely tried them out, and they did.
This is a new technology to provide people with energy, well-being, improved sleep, improved skin quality, relief of pain, relief of discomfort, and you just can't stop the truth.
Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Adam Scheiner speaking, and I'm very excited here to be giving you this webinar. I'm going to be talking about X39 and how I really brought it to my practice. First of all, my background, I think it's good to know where your speaker is coming from. I come initially from the Northeast. I went to college at New Jersey, Rutgers. I did my medical school at the University of Pennsylvania. I did my residency there, and I did a fellowship in Oklahoma City. I've been in private practice now for the past 24 years. I am a Wall Street Journal best-selling author for this book that I put out called The True Definition of Beauty. You can get that on Amazon. I am an international speaker and trainer, and I have a worldwide practice.
Dr. Scheiner's international reach began accidentally.
In my case, I wrote a book chapter about this idea of festoons, and the people who were editing the book, they said, would you put together a video for us? And I put it onto YouTube for the editors to see. And within a day, it was all over the internet.
Now, 80% of his patients travel here for medical care.
I've actually, over the years, tried to find ways to heal my patients better or faster. And I've done a number of studies using traditional cell membranes, O-to-beta-glucan, collagenases. Now, there are a couple of things that actually have been proven to work. One is called amniotic stem cells that absolutely worked. There was a company out of Santa Monica called Sky Orthobiologics, and I used that on a patient and actually worked to heal them faster. Hyperbaric oxygen, also, a series of them can help heal people faster and helps with swelling. And X39 stem cell activity patches is my new thing that I'm using now to heal people faster. And let me show you about this. So this is now some before and afters of patients, and let me show you using the X39 how this helps. So these are 3 patients you can see without the patch, with the patch. So we have 2 patients with the patch, 1 without, and let's follow them forward. This is beforehand, okay? This is 6 days after. Now, without the patch, you see that redness? That's what I'm used to seeing in patients. Now, with the patch, this is 6 days after. Look how little redness there is in the face and less yellowing of the skin. And here we are at 10 days after, and I have to say, at 10 days, you see that redness on the skin on the with the patient on the right without the patch, and the people with the patch, they're almost healed at 10 days, and they almost look like a patient a month after surgery. Let me show you this. So these patients look like a month after surgery, only 10 days after, and this is the power of the X39 patch. These 2 patients were actually using it for a month before the procedure. And here we can see the way that 10 days look like in these patients with the patch looks like 5 weeks without the patch. So they're healing much faster. We're going to talk a little bit about photobiomodulation and the X39 patch. Let's talk about the science about this, of how does X39 actually work. So there's actually a study done. It was published in Internal Medicine Research. This was the paper. It was a double-blind testing of a patch to determine if it could affect copper peptide production. And it was double-blinded. It was randomized with people not wearing the patch and with the patch, and over about a week they checked the copper level in the blood, and it's actually presented to the U.S. Patent Office because it was so innovative. They're getting a patent for this technology. So 60 people were randomized in 2 groups. 1 tube of blood was drawn, and there was a significant increase in the copper peptide found when compared to the controlled group, and then more was taken at 24 hours and 7 days, and actually showed even more of an improvement. So let's just talk about, not about the study, about the X39 necessarily, but first about copper peptide. So it was first isolated by Dr. Lauren Picard in 1973. It belongs to a group of emergency response molecules, which when we have an injury, these are produced, and that recruits healing cells to an area. And it's naturally to any injured tissue, and it's shown to have a therapeutic role in age-related neurodegeneration and cognitive decline. This is interesting. So not talking about X39 now, we're just talking about copper peptide. Copper peptide, which we've been showing that X39 actually increases, but let's just talk about copper peptide itself. Actually helps people with diabetic neurodegeneration, like diabetic neuropathy, and helps with axon survival and the maintenance of nerves. So that's very interesting. It activates stem cells, accelerates wound healing. I was showing you that before in my study. It's beneficial for hair, skin, nails, both growth and repair. It tightens loose skin. Reduce fine lines in the depth of wrinkles, and smooth rough skin. So what are some of the actions of this? Well, number one, it's antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. So we've heard about inflammation being a problem with aging. How much would we like to decrease inflammation if we could take a pill through this? What if just a patch could do this? We're not really talking about the patch right now. We're just talking about copper peptide. There's a lot of research on this. This antioxidant is anti-inflammatory, but it beneficially alters the expression of human genes for nerves by 15%. So we have a set of genes, okay? And neuron function is set by these genes, and this can actually turn that neuron function on by about 50% better under the effects of copper peptide. And it induces strong anti-anxiety, anti-aggression, anti-pain activity within 12 minutes in a study of rats. I've actually seen this in my patients and in a colleague, where a colleague of mine put a patch on him. He had problems with back pain. 3 hours later, his pain was down 75%, which was amazing. And we've actually seen a lot of people say, they put it on and they feel calmer within a few minutes. And that's why, because copper peptide, okay, we're not talking about the X39 right now. We're going to get back to it, but copper peptide, if you could somehow increase copper peptide, you'll have strong anti-anxiety and anti-pain. And that's kind of what the patch is doing on these 2 examples that I mentioned. So we never want to have a case where we have an intracerebral hemorrhage, because what happens is nerves die. That's what apoptosis means. But if they have high levels of copper peptide, less nerves die in a case of intracerebral bleeding or hemorrhage. It's implicated in resetting almost 4,200 genes to a younger, healthier state. How amazing is that? If we could find something that could make us younger, and this is any medication, this is a patch that increases copper peptide that does that. Copper peptide is the #1 bioactive compound recommended for the treatment of lung disease, COPD. We'll talk about that. It resets the programmed cell death in several types of cancer. Okay, now we're not going to make any medical claims here, okay? But the research has shown, so in a cancer situation, if I'm a cell, the cell to my left me, to my right me, in front of me, and back of me, on top of me, and behind and below me, actually tell me to stop dividing and say, hey, we have enough cells here. What happens is, if I'm the cancer cell, I keep multiplying. I'm not really encumbered by all these cells around me. And if you have high copper peptide, it actually tells that cancer cell, hey, stop multiplying, and actually you can die at this point. So it's not saying this cures cancer, but in research it's been shown that this happens. And we've never seen any side effects with this. Sometimes people say that they feel maybe a little more tired or headache or something. That's usually just pushing out toxins, but the copper peptide itself really has not shown to any side effects or issues. It's been used in humans for the treatment of damaged spines segments in the neck. So we're just putting it on the skin, the patch, but they've actually had it in injections, copper peptide. They injected around the damaged area, and they've actually helped fuse damaged spinal segments. And this is interesting, this sort of complicated sentence about alginate hydrogel. So what they're doing with mesenchymal stem cells, MCS, okay, they're trying to grow bone, have bone growth happen. And they'll put a gel on top of the broken bone. And they found that with elevated copper peptide, you have more enhanced ability to regrow the bone when it's put on a broken bone. And increases healing speed of, here it is, skin, stomach, intestinal lining, bone, and tissue. It strongly chemoattracts capillary cells, mast cells, and macrophages. So if we have a lot of copper peptide in an area, it says to the capillary cells, hey, come over here, grow this way. Come on, mast cells, macrophages, come over here, start working over here. And that's ways that we can get faster healing. I think that's what's happening in my patients when I do these procedures, why they're healing faster. We have a gene set that is set for cleaning out the cellular debris, something called the ubiquitin proteasome system. If you have a lot of copper peptide, okay, not talking about the patch itself right now, just if you have a lot of copper peptide, the research shows that it activates the genes to clean out our cells. Well, who doesn't need a cleaning out of damage in our own cells? You know, I do. Cortisone is used for inflammation, so people use it in the joints. The problem is when it's injected into a joint, it reduces any regeneration during that time period. But if we have high levels of copper peptide in an area and then you inject the cortisone and there's a lot of copper peptide there, it blocks the cortisone's anti-regeneration effects. You get the good effect of reducing inflammation without the bad effects of preventing healing. Fibrinogen is a top predictor for cardiovascular and heart disease. And if you have a high level of copper peptide, however you get there, you're actually going to have reduced fibrinogen synthesis. So this actually helps heart disease. And also, with people with heart failure, it increases myostatin. So it's helpful for the ninefold. Amazing. So it actually, if you have high levels of copper peptide, however you get there, you know, if you're injecting it or you're drinking it or whatever, you're not drinking it, but the patch does this. If you could ever somehow increase copper peptide, you would actually help your heart in multiple ways. And here we are. If you go into PubMed and you put in copper peptide, you're going to find 124 results. Okay, 13 pages. You can read each one. These are all studies looking at copper peptide. That's what I'm saying. Copper peptide does a tremendous amount of things. If we could ever somehow, and we know how, if we could ever somehow increase copper peptide in our body, it has all these incredible downstream effects. So this is the one talking about wound healing in mice. I talked about angiogenesis. I talked about how it recruits vascular cells into an area and say, come over here and help me multiply and grow into this area. That's what I was talking about. This is another one talking about, this is seen here, the NF-kappa beta. That's a molecule that has to do with aging, and it suppresses that. It does a lot of things. This is Lauren Picard publishing in 1918. She's the one, they're the ones who initially put together this study on copper peptide. So what did the research show? A significant increase of copper peptide in the blood of the active group was seen with a significant p-value. P-value has to do with whether something is better than chance. And a p-value of 0.03 is very, very significant for it not being just due to chance. This is really an effect of the patch from day 2 to day 7. It looks like it took like a day or so for it to increase the levels for it to be seen, but from day 2 to 7, we saw that. So when you put it in the skin, what happens? Well, just like sunlight can cause changes, right? Makes us make vitamin D in the skin. These patches can do a similar way by increasing copper peptides. Put on the skin. It reflects back our own infrared energy, and that infrared energy will cause an upregulation of copper peptide, recruit stem cells to the area, and then they go throughout the body wherever there's inflammation, helps heal that area. So here's just a summary to skin and hair. It helps with wound healing. It smooths rough skin, reduced photo damage, models hyperpigmentation. We can't say it really helps cancer specifically. The patch does, but copper peptide has helped people, especially with metastatic colon cancer. COPD. Copper peptide has helped people with lung disease. It protects lung cells. It increases superoxide dismutase activity. So that's antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. And here it is about the NF-κB molecule, which is believed to be the primary cause of disease. It suppresses that, which is amazing. This is about the intracerebral hemorrhage that I mentioned. And here's the mention of injecting it around the skin. And look, the cost is incredibly low, just like the X39 is very low. So it repairs our genes, it's anti-aging, converts older cells to a younger state. It helps with wound healing. Like tuning a piano, we need some maintenance. This helps us. So we patch it anywhere on the body. Usually pick behind the top of the spine, behind the neck, or underneath the umbilicus, and it causes an upregulation of these molecules, the copper peptide. Humans glow. This is really interesting. This was a study done in Japan. They actually put people in a very dark room, and we put out light throughout the day. This idea of photobiomodulation, our cells put out light. We can't see it because we're in a lit area, but I think that was really fascinating. Okay, so the benefits, it's really can elevate naturally occurring compounds that declines with age, and that's where the similarities end. It's a first patch that elevates a peptide, copper peptide, which showed all the benefits before, and the results are really stunning. There's an immediate effect through an elevation of antioxidants and decreased inflammation. That's what we've seen in people. More energy, better sleep. People are having improvement in quality of sleep, and they're remembering their dreams. Pain relief. This is actually a text I got from my colleague Alan. He said, Adam, weird, yes. I said, how'd the patch do? He said, I had an epidural last week that failed. I woke up this morning, read a line when he could get it done again. He said it went on around 7:15. The nurses, 3 hours later, the nurses never saw me jumping so much. They actually commented on it. My back feels 75% better. I don't understand it. And he says, let's see, he said, I never want to take it off, he said at the end. So this was really interesting. He noticed this in about 3 hours. Certain people take about 6 weeks to have an impact. Certain people about a week. So there's a range, but it definitely helps a lot of people. This woman wore it for about a year, and see how her skin looks better a year later. Her name's Manny. This was fascinating. Sports performance. It helps people with their recover from sports. Hair growth. This is fascinating. This was actually a picture sent by someone showing that her dad's hair grew 6 weeks on the patch. And this was interesting. This was, look on the right here. This person was working on rafters. He fell through the ceiling. He had broken ribs and a punctured lung, extreme pain. He expected to heal over about 6 weeks. He was on the patch, healed in about 3 weeks. Same with the finger tip regeneration happened. This woman had facial radiation. It helped her. You can see the dates there. So it speeds recovery. Brain health. This is interesting. It can actually help when we have too much activity or too little activity. That's not good for our brain. It helped make a more moderate brain activity with copper peptide. Scar removal. This was interesting. This was a patient who had a heart surgery, and they went right through the chest there. You could see that a year later, the scar healed. It was indented, and then a month after using the patch, some of the scar actually filled in. This is another one like this. You could see it was put on the foot. You don't have to put it on the foot, but look, a month later, you see how much healing happened there with the foot after that incision there. And wound healing, and I was actually talking about how that helped me. This is a surgical scar 2 weeks later. Youth renewal.
Well, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure and a bad valve leaking. I think they call it a bad murmur or something like that. And also stage 4 kidney disease. I guess I was really messed up. And anyway, there were several things that they diagnosed. And last year, it was around September, not the end of September, I went to the doctor and he looked at me and was listening, and he said, that's not good. And I said, what's that? But he didn't answer me. So I didn't know what was not good. But when I came back, well, this past Monday, I took Mom with me because she wanted to see him too. And he was checking her and said, boy, you seem to do amazingly well. But by the end of last year, we thought both of us was going to go the way it was going, you know. But in the middle of December, I started using the X39 and 49. And we kept using it, and I could tell there was some difference. I felt a lot better. And Mom's got back up, and she's 91. She started washing dishes again by hand and stuff. And I told her, you know, you don't have to do that. She said, I want to, you know. So anyway, we was at the doctor's office, and he was saying she did so much better. And he was listening to my heart and all that and having me breathe and everything. And he went over and sat down and he looked so puzzled and he kept looking at the charts. And I said, Doc, I guess I need to know that kidney disease, you told me I may be headed for dialysis. Is it better? Did I get up maybe to a 3 or something? He goes, no. I said, oh, I was kind of hoping. He said, actually, you're stage 2 and falling, it looks like. So
Wow.
I went from stage 4 to stage 2. And I said, well, the last time I was here, you told me that, boy, that's really bad. When you listened to me, I didn't know what you meant. You didn't say. He said, well, your heart murmur had gotten so bad, I was afraid the valve was going to start failing. I said, oh, well. I said, well, did it improve? He said, I could barely hear anything. I don't know. And he kept looking through his notes and he said, this doesn't make sense. He said, what did you do? You went to another doctor and got a prescription for something. I really need to put it in your record so we'll know what it is. I said, I never went to another doctor. I mean, I just patched myself. He said, well, he said, I know that, but what did you do? And I said, no, I literally patched myself. And I patched my mother too. It's called LifeWave X39. And he looked a little, he said, it's called what? And I said, LifeWave. He jumped on his computer and started looking it up. And he said, I'm going to have to research this.
Hi, my name is Shannon, and my testimony is not actually about me specifically. I am giving it secondhand because my brother is the one who is experiencing the effects of the patch, but I know about the patch from a good friend of mine, her mother, Miss Renee McCrae. And as soon as my brother told me about his situation, I knew that's who I needed to call, and I knew the patch was what he needed. On October 17th, my brother came to my house to tell me that he had been diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and he was, for lack of a better phrase, dying. The doctors told him he needed to tell his family and get his affairs in order because he was so far off of the charts that they did not see him being able to recover. ALS doesn't even have any recovery. Most times it is fatal. I called Miss Renee right away and explained to her and cried to her about what was going on with my brother and how I needed to save his life. And I wanted to know if the stem cell patches would do for me what I have heard her tell me that it is done for other people. She got me the information. We got the patch right away. We got the patch on my brother. And the first thing he told me on Christmas, well, he was putting the patches on and he was still kind of experiencing muscle decrease. It was rapid. He was losing 5-10 pounds a day. Like he was really almost out of here. And he had only one patch on. I think he started with the X39. And although it was sometimes helping with the muscle spasms, nothing was really helping decrease the pain, and nothing was helping him maintain his muscle mass, which is what he needed in order to stay alive. And once he started putting on the second patch, which I believe is called the Aeon patch, that's when he really started to see some changes. So on Christmas, he told me that he is able, while I'm sitting here with my eyeglasses on, he's able to drive around the city. He does not need glasses anymore. It has completely corrected his vision. When he puts on his glasses, it's blurry. He can't see anything. But most importantly, because the doctors were so shocked that he was holding muscle mass the way that he was, when that is absolutely unheard of in ALS, they ran some additional tests on him just to see what's going on and how his body is responding. Because there's no medication or anything, so they didn't really know what was happening. He said to me that his ferritin levels, which I don't know what that means, but there's a scale from 15 to 25. And when he was initially diagnosed, he was off the scale. He was past 25. He was at a point where they just really didn't see any hope. And he is now at 15. He's only been on the patches since October. If he drops down under 15, he essentially does not have ALS anymore. and they will continue to monitor him for every 3 months for 1 year. And after that, he might be in remission or free of the disease altogether. I have not personally experienced what the patch can do, but what the patch did for my brother and my family, not having to bury my brother, I can never repay Miss Renee or her daughter Samaya, who is how I even know Miss Renee. I can never repay Lifeway for being able to create such an amazing product that, as I hear everyone tell me, it's saving them from their thoughts and the different pains that they're having. And all of that is absolutely magnificent.
Maybe everybody's lying. Maybe it's one big conspiracy and all these people got together and they're telling these stories. Well, let's look at some horses, because horses don't lie.
You may have already heard about LifeWave wearable technology, wafer-thin, lightweight patches that produce remarkable health benefits. If you're still working to wrap your mind around the more than 80 independent clinical and research studies that back up LifeWave claims, or if you just simply love this technology already and enjoy seeing it work fast, we've brought you to a quiet farm in Southern California to witness the instant power of LifeWave. Not on humans, but on horses. Because after all, horses can't be told how to react to this amazing technology. They just do, virtually every time. In fact, 2 published studies in 2005 and 2011 involving no fewer than 175 horses, one of them with a placebo-controlled element, showed significant reduction in pain using LifeWave, as shown by before and after infrared thermal images, plus generally accepted veterinarian methods for locating and measuring pain points in horses. I wanted to see for myself, and you'll get to watch right along with me. John Chance, a distributor in LifeWave since 2004, has been working within the equine industry with horse owners and rodeo competitors for years, patching thousands of horses along the way to help relieve their pain and discomfort. This Facebook video is a great example. John first locates the discomfort, then does his best to carefully place a patch near the pain. Not so easy. And just seconds later, the horse is calm and no longer reacting to pressure. Today, John has gathered several horses so we can see for ourselves what happens as he applies patches, with their owners looking on. Didn't take him too long to find some pain.
That's pain.
On goes the patch. And then look at the difference.
Stand right here.
Oh, wow.
And just push as hard as I can.
Here's another one.
Okay, that's pain.
Patch goes on.
No reaction. Pain is gone.
And now watch this.
About went to his knees. When I done this a minute ago, what the horse done? The horse kind of stumbled.
But once again, with LifeWave to the rescue.
You see horse?
I see.
No reaction.
No reaction, okay. Now what John did next really does bring focus to how fast this technology can work.
I removed the patch.
Oh.
I'm gonna take them off. Pain's probably already back, watch.
No kidding. He's reacting.
Reacting. Again.
Just like that.
Yep. And we're gonna repatch again.
And it won't react?
Won't react.
On go the patches again.
Wow.
I heard a wow over there.
Yeah. Till you see it in person, they don't believe it. All right?
And with the patches back on? Look at that. Oh, that's incredible.
And again. See, I'm just digging in that spot.
Yes, you are.
I'm digging, more pressure. And this is danger zone. I'm asking this horse and inviting this horse to kick me.
He's calmed down. He's calmed down.
Unbelievable. So basically, the whole point of doing this in the first place, John, is that horses, they don't know anything other than to be a horse and to react to what's going on. They don't know placebo. They have no agenda. And that's the whole point of this, is to say that this technology works that fast, whether it's a horse or whether it's a human. So you know what you need to do next. You need to get patched.
Let's look at the long-term results of the X39, and these are per case studies, not just theory. The first few days, 4,000 genes begin to reset. The brain becomes balanced within 6 weeks. Within 3 months, your collagen is increased. What does that mean, folks? You start looking younger. Your body starts developing collagen and crow's feet, wrinkles start filling in. Within 6 months, the heart reverses in age. This is not anti-aging, this is age reversal. It's phenomenal.
Light, an ancient form of energy that goes back to the dawn of time. For us, it all begins with the sun, the source of light and life for our entire solar system. Even Einstein concluded that everything we're made of contains light. All life originates with the sun through photosynthesis. Plants and vegetation collect the light, and all living creatures emit light. Humans actually emit infrared light, which can be seen with night vision devices. We've known for centuries that light has many effects on the body. LifeWave's phototherapy patches use light to stimulate the body's natural healing systems, providing specific health benefits. Here's how the technology works. First, a patch is applied to specific points on the body. Where the patch covers the skin, infrared light emitted from the body is reflected back into the tissue. This stimulates the skin, which in turn stimulates specific regions of the brain. The brain then taps into the body's own natural flow of energy and the ability to heal itself. Let's take a look at why this is important on a cellular level. For example, a number of our patch products help counteract free radicals, oxygen molecules that damage cell proteins and contribute to visible signs of aging. When the body is stimulated through phototherapy to release its own antioxidants, these free radicals are neutralized naturally. LifeWave. Live long. Live well.
We've done over 80 independent case studies, and folks, these are different laboratories, colleges, universities, and they've all come to the conclusion the X39 patch works to increase copper peptide production in the blood, which can improve tissue repair, stimulate blood vessel and nerve growth, and improve skin. One of the studies, a double-blind randomized control study. Now, folks, a double-blind study is a study where the participant nor the researcher, neither one of them knew which one was the placebo and which one was the real deal. It revealed a significant increase in the production of 8 amino acids, which improved short-term memory, sleep, and vitality. That's amazing. That's why so many dementia patients are getting reversals with dementia, because short-term memory is what affects dementia patients. Another double-blind test showed a significant increase in copper peptide concentrations in the blood of subjects who had worn the X39 patches for just 1 week. One of the most important jobs of copper peptide is to increase healthy stem cell activity in your body. That's why increasing the copper peptide in your body is so important. These are facts about the X39. It's proven to activate healthy stem cells. They're proven to increase copper peptide, patented and clinically proven technology. I'm so excited about that. This is not another soap powder, another super fruit. This is patented and clinically proven technology. FDA recognized as a general wellness product. The FDA does not need to approve this because it is neither a food nor a drug. It's a class 1 medical device, like a tongue depressor, a Band-Aid, a stethoscope. They cannot harm you. It's non-transdermal and non-invasive. Unlike a nicotine patch, which is transdermal, nicotine transfers from the patch into your body. This is non-transdermal and non-invasive. It's actually sealed in plastic, so nothing can transfer, and that makes it waterproof and shower-proof and swim in the pool proof. It's 96% effective and very affordable, less than the cost of a cup of coffee. Imagine you can get your health back for less than the cost of a cup of coffee. And for the 4% that may not have found any effect, it's got a money-back guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose. What if it works and you can get your health back? All right, what next, folks? Get with the person that invited you here and ask them about the X39 patch, how you can get it. Get patched, whatever you do. One more thing, this company did $400 million in business last year. This year, we're slated to do $1 billion. That's a lot of money. And that's because mainly people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. But when they hear about a way that somebody that's paralyzed from a stroke can get unparalyzed again, somebody with congestive heart failure can have their heart new again, reverse in age, people are going nuts over this. Well, the company will pay handsomely if you are willing to share the word about the X39 patch. Get with the person that invited you here. If I invited you here, go ahead and give me a call or give me a text. That's my number, 954-483-5093. If you want to talk to the doc, Dr. Janice is in the house. You can give her a call, 786-423-8500. But if she's at the hospital, she's not going to answer. She works evenings. So give me a call and I can pass a message on to her. But we're going to stay on for questions and answers.